Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pam Greensky, and I'm the Director of Operations here at Advisacon. I'd like to welcome you all to today's webinar, Agile Project Management using Office 365 Planner. So here at Advisacon, we're a group of clowns, authors, teachers, consultants, and technologists who are passionate about helping organizations learn, scale, and grow with a mix of methodology and technology to deliver results. No matter a company's size, our team specializes in maximizing your business and personal productivity by leveraging the Microsoft technology experience. We offer weekly webinars, which here at Advisacon we refer to as Webinar Wednesdays, which we spend 30 minutes to an hour each week teaching topics ranging from Microsoft Project, Project Server, Project Online, Visio, SharePoint, to project, program, and portfolio management and methodology approaches. With attending any of our weekly webinars, you'll receive free PDUs. Today's webinar is Agile Project Management using Office 365 Planner, in which you'll receive a half PDU. Before we get started, I'll just let you guys know that in the top right corner, that's where you can adjust your volume and your settings to make sure you can hear us appropriately. And also on this control panel here in the top right, that's where you have the opportunity to submit questions in the chat window. And if we have time at the end of the session today, Tim can review some of those, and hopefully, if we have time, have a Q&A session. If not, Tim will return answers to those questions via email, or I will. So I think that's about it for instructions, and it's now my pleasure to introduce the presenter for today's webinar, Tim Runcie, a Microsoft MVP for more than 14 million consecutive years, and most importantly, Advisacon's president and owner.
Thanks, Pam. Hello, everyone. Happy Webinar Wednesday, and I'm glad you could be here for our session. This topic is actually a pretty hot one. We're getting a lot of requests around Agile Project Management, some of the tools and some of the capabilities that are being enabled or turned on. So I'm going to cover things that you may have today. I might even allude and give you some pointers to some things that are coming, which is great, but where is Microsoft going with Agile is a real important element around what you need to use both today and also be prepared for in the future. We'll take a look at what some of the tools and processes and elements that are there, and specifically we'll talk about Planner. So I've already done several meetings and discussions, and a lot of people are tripping on this tool going, whoa, what's going on here? I never knew this was existing. So they're very excited to find out what it is, and I will be kind of going through not a deep dive, but kind of a high-level walkthrough as it fits into the Agile PPM technology suite to help you plan. So we will take a look at a couple other tools that go with it. We'll refer to something called Microsoft Teams, which is fairly new, and I'll show you some of the integration components, but mostly I want to zero in on our planner technology, which is currently out and available for anyone who wants to use it that's moving into the Office 365 suite. Okay, well, with that in mind, let's take a look at the wave of investments that Microsoft is working on. So one of the things, if we talk about PPM, meaning Project, Program, and Portfolio Management, and really the all-up technology stack that's available, you're going to find more and more tools that are being kind of released for project managers. Some of these you may be familiar with. We'll talk about certainly Microsoft Project, but there are new Agile elements that are being added that really are designed to integrate together. So whether it's new out-of-the-box reports or integration between different Agile technologies in the Microsoft suite, you're going to see a lot of capabilities that are available. So first off, a lot of people ask about Microsoft Project. They talk about the ability to integrate with Planner, the integration with other types of portfolio tools, and it's exciting to note that Microsoft has a full intention to continue to build out this. So while you might create high-level schedules in Project that might be portfolio or program level, or perhaps even just down to the task level, sprint, features, user stories, but then maybe you have a lot of sub-details that exist somewhere else, whether it's Jira or Team Foundation Server, or maybe even perhaps you're managing that, is that you've got options within Planner. And the ability to kind of break those out and drill into Planner while you're still in Microsoft Project is some of the plan technology that you'll find on the roadmap that Microsoft has published out there. Now, as we go through here, again, where is Microsoft going in terms of supporting Agile? And we refer to a little bit on the Microsoft project stack. In fact, let me just bring open project if you haven't seen this before. But you may be dealing with your own schedules where you're expanding and collapsing your waterfall methodology. But you may even be drilling into specific iterations where you have features or sprints where you're managing those. Of course, you can always go and click on File and select New, and New has a whole series of templates. You can go right here. In fact, if I just zoom this for everybody, you've got this Agile template, which in my opinion, it's okay. It's a nice walkthrough. If you want other templates, let me know. In fact, email us anytime. I'm happy to share some of our Microsoft project templates. They could be very much just in alignment with, hey, what are my sprints? What are my features? What are my user stories? And then having the ability to go in and create maybe burn down or group views of, what's on the backlog, what's done. Again, building upon this is that we've got this database to work from. And the idea from demand planning and resource capacity planning is that you get some great functionality that you literally have in your environment to work with. But do we have to do everything in a project schedule? And the answer is absolutely not. And we're going to look at some of that expanded modeling that's coming. So as we think in terms of that, a lot of folks are working in an enterprise environment, perhaps maybe saving or publishing their projects, or they have a global resource pool. And so if you're thinking in terms of, well, hey, listen, I am in either Project Server on-premise, or perhaps you're even using Project through Office 365, whether you're on an E1 license, which means any, Tom, Dick, or Harry, or Jane, Sue, or Mary can get an Office 365 subscription, you're going to have some PM tools that will support your Agile environment. And we're going to talk a little bit more around Planner, but the idea is that you have some great elements in terms of functionality to communicate and track and manage your workload. Okay, let's take a look. All right, so from our planning perspective, whether it's an enterprise approach or you have embedded details, which you might have perhaps a published schedule into that one environment, we really talk about the ability to have business intelligence and dashboards seeing your program or portfolio information. And I'm showcasing some of the tools that come along with the Microsoft stack in terms of surfacing data. But ultimately, we really want to make sure we have that visibility. Again, whether you're using a Power BI view and you're looking at information that might be coming out of a project or schedules or SharePoint lists, is that you can have a lot of visibility or at least functionality in terms of surfacing that information. And Office 365 Planner will also continue to give you some of that same information. So here we are with Planner, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the tool itself and how it's designed to help you from an Agile perspective. So the idea is that who owns this, who built this, it really came out of the Microsoft project team. And the project team said, hey, listen, there are times when people don't want to have all the overhead of a Microsoft project schedule, yet they want to have quick and nimble project management. So whether you're in the finance organization and every year you have, in fact, we're going through this now with our year-end planning, or we have year-end closeout and new fiscal budgeting. These are projects that happen every year, but it's really sometimes hard-pressed to find the finance department literally sitting down and mapping out a Microsoft project schedule. Or if you're in a marketing capacity, you have these really quick turn activities where you do need to track tasks, but we need to see kind of what's available. So if we step into and we talk around, hey, listen, we've got some of these ideas of looking at Office 365 Planner. You're going to see some changes coming in the portfolio management space where you actually have a service that can consume Agile projects, waterfall projects, and give you high-level visibility. Again, a nice tight coupling between the technologies. And again, something that I'll show a little bit more today is, of course, Planner, but we'll talk about Microsoft Teams, which also came up. And we're finding that there are people saying, look, I can use Teams versus having to stand up an entire SharePoint site. In that drive to continue to make good tools available, I was speaking a little bit about the finance department, and you may not be aware of this, but Microsoft just recently released in their Dynamics suite an entire project service element. It's a different type of module that allows you to kind of, from the inception of a project, whether it's a sales proposal, you can actually go and track in your customer relationship management, hey, these are projects, these are activities, where is this at, is it open, are there tasks that we need to work with? So again, a brand new element that they have available is called planning and delivery, and this PSA service sits inside of Dynamics. So we're starting to find that project management is pervasive everywhere you go, but not always does it need to have a full heavy schedule. And again, that's where we get back into leveraging some of the other tools, including Planner, as a functional element. So let's step in and let's spend a little bit more time with Planner. I think you guys are going to enjoy this, and for those of you that haven't seen much more of this, this is a great way to think about how to manage Agile projects or even just lightweight project management and make that available. All right, let me go back to Planner. So let's go back over here. And let's take a look at something called the Planner Hub. So literally, I'm in Office 365 right now, and I can come in here and I can click on my Planner icon. And what this will do is take me into an environment where I can create what's called a board. And a board is kind of like, for those of you that are doing Agile or Scrum projects, is that you sit down and you take this board and you organize activities of what needs to be done, what's the priority, what you want to rate and rank. Well, whether you're going into the full-blown version of, say, Project or Project Enterprise, which says, hey, when I build a project and I publish, I can actually have a SharePoint site set aside with issues, risks, and documents. The same idea exists in Planner, is that, hey, when I create a project and I want to kind of track this, is that I can create favorites, I can kind of see all the different plans that I've been invited to or that I'm working on. In fact, even if you're using Outlook, which let me bring this over right now. This is my Outlook window here. You can see quickly and clearly that we actually have the idea of having groups, or essentially having some of our favorite project boards available where I can click on these and find that information. So again, from an Outlook perspective, I'm seeing task or task assignments that we have. And here is a project. So let me pick one of these, and then I'll show you a little bit more about what's available. So let me just drill right into the Marketing Office 365 project. You'll notice here that I've got a board, and you notice that there's a little bit of a menu at the top. For those of you that are working in SharePoint or are beginning to use the enterprise tools, you're going to find, of course, the ribbons are starting to disappear, especially from a planning perspective, and so that is intentional. Microsoft is beginning to wean itself off of the ribbon, especially from a SharePoint perspective, and you're going to find it in your Office 365 technologies, including Planner or Power BI, is that we really have these fly-out menus that let you look at files or members or edit or leave a plan, but it's going to be essentially directly in that environment. So this is my planning board here, and you notice I've got these different buckets. Sprint 1, Sprint 2, I've got my backlog, I've got planning, and whether I want to relabel these, in fact this is backlog and Sprint 2, sometimes I just go, Sprint 2 always seems like the slow path to hell. It doesn't matter what you type in here. The idea is that you can organize work and work assignments by any category. We call those buckets. So let me put that back to Sprint 2. And in terms of organizing these, the idea is that I can come in and I can add tasks. For example, if I click on any one of these, I can quickly see, hey, listen, if I've got this OHSUS planning, I don't have to track everything as a task, but I can create tasks within tasks. In fact, I can go over here and I can check if it's urgent, if it's going to be something that I have a PMO visibility to, and I'm able to come in. And the idea of a task is it's not asking you for hours, it's not asking you for effort. What it's really doing is presenting to you the level of information that you have. So that meaning that you've got, hey, is it started? Is it in progress or completed? That's it. This is a simple activity tracking mechanism, and I may want to start it on a particular date. I could certainly set due dates, and then all of this information always goes back to a chart around the actual planning board itself. So again, here I can see quickly, here's all the tasks that I have. I have 12 left to complete. I have 4 that are not started. I have 2 that are completed. I've got 5 that are in progress, and I'm late on 3 of those. And if I look over here, I can actually see what those tasks are. I can also see the highlighted flagged red dates that tell me whether they're ahead or behind. Again, this is the chart itself around this particular project. And what I love about this is that you don't have to set up a SharePoint site, but you can also create communications through OneNote. So the idea is that if I want to use a kind of a collaboration document, real-time environment where I can put information in and talk about the data, and somebody put a note here, what is that, geez. You can see that this is really an open free-form environment just like you use OneNote. So you'll organize your sections, your discussions, you can create pages within pages talking about team priorities, you have the ability to embed information, etc. But again, this is all tied directly to that plan, and we can work with that directly. So while I might be looking at a notebook, I can spin up conversations, and for those of you that haven't seen this, let me bring over something called Microsoft Teams. And so Teams allows me to come in and have conversations about what I want to see. I can set up teams around different projects, and if I click on my biothermal project team, I can invite people to it. I can have conversations. I can put files and notes here. So again, you're seeing kind of an opening of, hey, I've got information that could be coming from Outlook, tasks, meetings, but I've got this collaboration that I get to work with associated to this lightweight project management. So as I go in here, let's just kind of play around with this marketing piece and let's look at some of the functional elements that we have directly. So while I'm looking at this, let's just go back to the planning board here. It's very easy to go ahead and create a task. In fact, let me just do this. I'm going to click on the little plus and I'm going to type in a task here. And so this is going to be planning for webinar Wednesday. Here we go. And I hit enter and I can just keep adding task after task after task. Now notice here I've added one called Planning for Webinar Wednesday. Let me just drill into that quickly, and I might come over here and say, listen, I'm going to definitely make sure this is a low priority, and from my perspective what I want to do is figure out what bucket it belongs to. Whether it's drag or drop or it's in progress, or perhaps I even want to just create a simple checklist that says, guys, I don't need a row for every one of these in a project schedule, but I might want to just add an item here. For example, just do this. Click on an item, and I might just say, you know, plan topics, ask audience for feedback, review hottest topics. And by the way, if you have topical ideas that you want to see in our webinar Wednesday, we definitely encourage you to reach out, because in many cases you guys do set the pace and tone of topics that we cover. Again, if I want to show these on the card, I can click right here, and what I'm going to see, let me just close this, behind the scenes is, hey, planning for webinar Wednesday. There's the topic that needs to be done. I could literally come in here and check these off as I go through. I can come back in and uncheck them. But the idea is that I'm showing this right on the card itself. So again, a very agile term. I've got these cards, and what I can do is attach files, put links, put messages in here. I've got a little bit of a portal to collaborate, but simple, right? Simple, simple, simple. If I need to add an assignment, meaning give this to somebody, what I can do is add people who are part of this team. If I see that there's somebody that's not part of this team, for example, I might just say, oh, hey, listen, I need to add some folks here. Let's go ahead and pull from members. Why don't we add Jeff Post to this? There's Jeff. Jeff now is going to get an invitation by email that's going to show up saying, hey, we're inviting you to this team. And then I can go in here and I can click on my task and I can assign it to him. And at this point, it's not talking about hours or demand and capacity. What it's really doing is saying who's available, who's visible. Now, I bet you in a few minutes I'm going to get a call like, what are we doing? I didn't know I was scheduled to plan for Webinar Wednesday, but Jeff is going to be notified, and we have some of that visualization. So you can see here I've got members I can add. I can kind of go over and say, listen, oh, hey, this Create Team Matrix, that really is something I want to move over to Sprint 1. Or perhaps I'm going over to my backlog and pulling out activities and dragging and dropping them. You could change this information. You can add different planning buckets. You can choose the assignment. But the idea is I can quickly see, how do I want to organize this information? Show me who it's assigned to. Okay, here's all the unassigned tasks. Oh, well, listen, I better give that coal fire planning to Brian, and I'm going to validate the admin role, give that to Brian. Tim hasn't done a whole lot yet recently. Let's give him a task. So I'm just dragging and dropping, very much like cards on a planner board, as you can move these around. And again, I can change this again by what progress or what state. So if I come over here and I group by progress, I can take things that are not started and I can drag this and drop it off on the completed state, right? I can undo that by rolling it back. So again, from an Agile tool, without having a lot of overhead, you've got some great flexibility. Again, you can look at your plans quickly. You could right-click on these and say, hey, listen, let's talk about the Power BI discussion, and I'm going to open this in a new tab, or if I select this, I can go in and add it to my favorites. I have the ability to kind of manage or control the information that we see. Ultimately, though, you get in here and you've got this Planner Hub that gives you a picture of your favorites or the activity. So you have visibility across the board to using your planner tasks. And again, this was designed, it's cared and fed for by the Microsoft project team, who recognize that from an Agile perspective, that while they're going to be turning on Kanban boards and other sprint tracking mechanisms within Microsoft Project, there's still lightweight task management or lightweight project management that needs to be available to the end users. So having some of this availability makes it very helpful to work with. So progressing status, and again looking at trying OneDrive or OneDrive information, you can kind of move these across. Again, from here I can come over here and say my class reunion, I can add this to my favorites. It pops up here. In a minute I'm going to see something show up in my Outlook schedule that I now have a group that's available, and I can continue to man from that. Add, remove, work with. Again, the nice thing about this is it's just that simple, and you're going to see some integration very tightly coupling with Microsoft Project that says, you know what, high-level task, perfect in Project, whether it's a sprint, a feature, a user story, but all the details may be somewhere else. You can certainly leverage this tool and work with it directly. Again, from my perspective, it's a great addition. Use it for lots of different things internally. You've got that flexibility, and again, if you're using anything in terms of moving to that Office 365 platform, this is free. A lot of people say, wow, what a great tool. What's the licensing cost? The licensing cost is it's free as long as you're in the environment. So Microsoft will continue to add some of these functions to you as you work within the project tools. For those of you that are dropping to on-premise, maybe you've got Project Server on-premise, or you're thinking about staying at the desktop level, that's totally okay. There may be features that are enabled or disabled based upon the ability for that integration, but the idea is you do have some great visibility, and of course you can work with that. And what's exciting, of course, from a licensing model, not that we do anything with licensing, but the idea is that if you want to buy Project 2016 now, the licensing model says if you're buying the desktop tool and you're paying a software subscription, whether it's click to run, is that you get this enterprise environment for free. So each user can certainly go out at home, purchase that, and you would get Planner, you would get the Project Online environment where you've got the server approach. So Microsoft is looking for ways to streamline the licensing process. Now, how much you build and what you put together may depend on what you're trying to manage, but from a Planner perspective, I can quickly come in here and say, what are my tasks? Hey, listen, are there things that are completed? Here they are. Define who's attending my conference. Let's just drag it over. That's done. So again, from a lightweight, whether it's kind of an organizational perspective or I'm dealing with sprints, is you've got some good visibility in terms of task and task management directly in what we call a planner board. And if I click on biothermal, I can quickly see where it's at, get a quick chart, and you can manage this directly. Again, inviting people in to see what's there, what they need to work with, and then again, how they group that information. Easy to add, easy to clear. Again, I like to kind of go in and say, what's the structure that I want to work with? And for my Planner Hub, especially when I'm dealing with an Agile environment, as I'm thinking about how I organize this, the first thing I do is I line out what are my sprints, how many, what's on the backlog, and we literally will come in here and we'll go ahead and do it by buckets. By buckets I happen to have set up in a sprint capacity. So again, you can move these forward and the team members can kind of contribute what's done, what's not done. Drilling into any one of these, you can continue to have conversations, or you can spin up a OneNote and have it connected directly to the activities that you're working on. So a lot of fun. Again, a light introduction for those who haven't seen this, and again, I can tell you there's not a lot deeper things that you have to learn in terms of complex formulas or earned value calculations. Don't expect this to come up and give you a total amount of demand versus capacity. That's where you're going to use your real Microsoft project tools for that. But in general, from our perspective, what we want to be able to do is continue to go directly into a lightweight task management and an agile planning tool. And maybe you're not even doing this in Team Foundation Server or Jira or other tools, but you're able to actually quickly manage that. So for PMs, great tool in your arsenal of project management capabilities. So in summary today, I just want to make you know that, again, you can leverage Planner, you can use Project. You're going to see very tight coupling between these, including portfolio services that are available. You're seeing that Microsoft is turning on project management in lots of areas and then extending out SharePoint, extending out OneNote, extending out Microsoft Teams to create that collaboration so you can communicate, track, invite, and manage information. But it may be just that from a planner perspective, you just need simple task management to keep track of it, attach notes and documents, and have people be able to get in, progress their work, and move on. Again, Agile features and capabilities are certainly coming. There's even more I can't talk about, but I'm very excited because I've been looking at them. However, the idea is today you do have great tools that are available. So if you start thinking about future demand or forecasting or portfolio modeling, this is where we kind of step out of the lightweight task management. But at some point, it's a great way to start a project that says, hey, look, I don't need to track all the details. The high-level resource capacity planning or perhaps complex modeling that's going on, what you can do is share and showcase your information and plan at a higher level, but then have lightweight task management down in, say, Planner. Again, lots of great opportunities. So thank you for your time today. Pam, let me hand this back over to you. And as always, if you have questions about what you've seen here or you want to dig deeper, we teach classes on this, certainly provide consulting, but a lot of fun. And I always encourage people to reach out anytime with an email. Happy to point you in the right direction and some of our options in terms of some of the free training that's been made available out there on the internet. So Pam, back to you.
Okay. I want to thank you, Tim, and thank everyone on the call for attending today's webinar. We welcome your questions, suggestions, and we want your feedback. So for more information, you're always welcome to contact Tim or myself. Again, my name is Pam Greensky. Once you exit today's webinar, you will receive a survey on the presentation, and we would really appreciate if you would complete and submit the survey. And by submitting the survey, this will ensure that you will get your PDUs. You'll also receive a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with a link to view the recording. And on Friday is when I usually send out the email with all of your PDU information. So on behalf of Advisacon, Tim and myself, thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you participate in future webinars. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.
Thanks, everyone.